Hello and welcome back to the Sleepy Geographer channel. As we begin our journey into the serene world of fjords, find a comfortable position. Let your body grow heavy and allow your mind to drift back in time to an age when the world was quieter, colder, and covered in immense, silent sheets of ice. The story of a fjord does not begin with water, but with ice. It begins not with a crash, but with a slow, patient, grinding whisper. A whisper that lasted for millions of years. Imagine, if you will, a river valley in a time long before humans. A simple, V-shaped valley carved by a gentle river nestled between two great mountains. The climate cools year by year, century by century. The snow that falls in winter does not melt in summer. It accumulates layer upon layer, compressing under its own weight into a dense blue ice. This is the birth of a glacier. This glacier is not a static thing. It is a river of ice, a slow-moving giant. It flows with a patience we can scarcely comprehend, moving perhaps only a few centimeters a day, but it is relentless. And as it flows, it begins to travel down that ancient river valley. The immense weight of this ice, thousands of feet thick, is unimaginable. It is a force that does not push, but simply presses, and as it presses down the valley, it performs its slow sculpting work. The glacier is not a smooth tool. It is a grinding mass filled with rocks and boulders torn from the mountain sides. It acts like sandpaper on a cosmic scale. As it flows, it scrapes and scours the bedrock beneath it. It widens the valley, grinding away at its sides. It deepens the valley, carving down into the very crust of the earth. Over millennia, the gentle V of the river valley is transformed into a deep, dramatic U. The walls become steep and sheer. The floor becomes flat and smooth, polished by the ice's immense patient passage. This is the first act of creation, a deep, U-shaped valley now occupied entirely by this sleeping giant of ice. The world is silent, but for the occasional creak and groan of the glacier, a deep, resonant sound that echoes off the stark cliffs. But climates change. The great ice ages wane. The world grows warmer. And now the second act begins, the great thaw. This is not a violent melting, but a gradual, dignified retreat. The glacier, which spent millennia advancing, now begins to pull back. It recedes up the valley it carved, its leading edge melting, carving small icebergs into the newly formed lake at its foot. It is a slow, steady withdrawal, and as the glacier retreats, it reveals its masterpiece. The deep scoured valley it leaves behind is now empty. But the world's oceans have risen with the meltwater. The sea, sensing this new space, this profound vacancy, begins to flow in. It fills the deep U-shaped valley with cold, salt water. The land and the sea embrace. The mountain walls become cliffs that plunge directly into the deep, dark water. The glacial valley has been reborn as a fjord. The word itself, fjord, comes from the Old Norse, meaning where you travel across. It is a word born of practicality and poetry, describing these waterways that cut deep into the heart of the land. And the evidence of this icy birth is everywhere, if you know how to look. The sheer, steep cliffs that rise straight from the water are the walls the glacier carved and polished. The great depth of a fjord, often deeper than the sea just beyond its mouth, is the deep trough the ice gouged out. In fact, the ice often carved so deep that a submerged ridge, called a threshold or sill, remains at the fjord's entrance, a final gift from the glacier that protects the inner fjord from the rougher currents of the open ocean, keeping its waters still and serene. Sometimes, as you drift along a fjord, you will see smaller valleys high up on the cliffsides, looking like they were cut off halfway. These are called hanging valleys. They were once tributary glaciers, smaller streams of ice that flowed into the main, larger glacier. But the main glacier was so much more powerful, carving its valley so much deeper that when the ice melted, These smaller valleys were left hanging high above the water, often with beautiful waterfalls cascading from them like gentle, flowing veils. So the next time you see a picture of a majestic fjord, with its still, dark waters reflecting the mountains, remember that you are not looking at a random crack in the earth. You are looking at a sculpture, a work of art created by the slow, patient hand of ice, a testament to a time when the world was shaped not by quick forces, but by a persistent, gentle, and immense pressure over countless millennia. There is a deep peace in this origin story. It is a story that operates on a time scale beyond our own fleeting lives. It reminds us that some of the most beautiful things in our world were created not in a moment of violent upheaval, but in an age of quiet, persistent, and patient transformation. And as you rest now, you can imagine that slow, gentle flow of ice, not as a destructive force, but as an artist, carving a place of profound peace and stillness, a sanctuary for the soul, a place where the whispers of the Ice Age can still be heard in the deep, silent waters. As we continue our gentle journey, let us leave the sun-dappled surface of the fjord behind and allow our minds to sink deeper, down into the profound blue silence of the fjord's depths. Find your breath, and with each slow exhalation, imagine yourself sinking a little further into a world of quiet and shadow. From the surface, a fjord is a mirror of the sky, reflecting clouds and mountains in shimmering liquid glass. But beneath that calm surface lies another world, one of immense depth and mystery. These are not shallow bays. A fjord is a chasm, a submerged canyon whose depths can rival the heights of the mountains that surround it. Imagine the water beneath you, not as a single entity, but as layers like a quiet, liquid cake. The sun's warmth only penetrates the topmost layer, perhaps the first 100 feet. This is the epipelagic zone, the sunlight zone. Here, the light filters down in shifting blue-green shafts, illuminating tiny, drifting plankton, the dust of the sea. It is here you might see a solitary jellyfish pulsing like a slow, ghostly heartbeat, or a small school of silvery fish flickering like coins in the dim light. But as we sink further, past 200, 400, 1,000 feet, the light begins to fade. The blue deepens from a cerulean to a cobalt, then to a twilight indigo. We are entering the mesopelagic zone, the twilight zone. The world grows hushed. The pressures here are immense, a weight that would be crushing to us, but is simply home to the creatures that live here. The surface world, with its winds and waves, is a distant, forgotten memory. Here, the only movement is the slow, vertical migration of countless tiny organisms, rising toward the dim light at dusk and sinking back into the safety of the dark at dawn. The largest migration on Earth, happening in near total silence, every single day and night. And in the deepest trenches of the fjords, we find the abyss. Depths that can plunge over 4,000 feet, deeper than the Grand Canyon. This is the bathypelagic zone, the midnight zone. Here there is no light at all, none. It is a darkness so complete, so absolute, that it has persisted since the glacier retreated. The water here is often still and cold, just a degree or two above freezing. It is a world of perpetual, tranquil night. In this profound darkness, life has adapted not with rush and noise, but with patience and subtlety. There is no need for speed where no one can see, and where energy is precious. The creatures of the deep are often slow-moving, gelatinous, and efficient. They are masters of conservation. Some, like the deep-sea jellyfish, are so fragile they would melt in the sunlit world. They drift like living lace, their delicate forms perfectly suited to a world without rough currents or harsh edges. And in this darkness, a different kind of light appears, bioluminescence. Since the sun cannot reach them, many creatures create their own. They are living lanterns. A sudden blue-green spark might flash in the blackness, a copepod startled by an unseen movement. A chain of lights might glow like a string of pearls, a comb, jelly, expressing its silent, radiant language. These are not bright, glaring lights, but soft, ethereal glows. They are used to attract a mate, to lure prey, or to startle a predator. In the absolute black of the fjord's depths, this silent, slow dance of light is the primary form of communication. It is a language of gentle flashes and slow fades, a conversation of ghosts. The pressure at these depths is comforting in its constancy. It is a heavy blanket, a steady, silent presence. There is no weather here. No storms rage at 1,000 feet. The water may be cold, but it is stable, unchanging. It is a world of profound equilibrium. This deep, silent world is also a natural museum, a preserver of history. The cold, still, oxygen-poor water at the bottom of some fjords creates an environment where organic material decomposes very, very slowly. Sunken wood, even the remains of ancient marine life, can lie on the seabed for centuries, largely untouched. It is a gentle, natural refrigeration, a quiet archive of the past. So, as you lie in the comfort of your bed, imagine yourself suspended in this deep, blue silence. The weight of the water is not oppressive, but embracing. The darkness is not frightening, but soothing. The occasional soft pulse of bioluminescence is like a distant star in a liquid night sky. The fjord's depth teaches us about the beauty of stillness. It reminds us that beneath every calm surface there may lie worlds of quiet complexity and serene darkness. It is a place where time slows, where light is soft and rare, and where life moves with a slow, deliberate grace. Let this deep, blue silence fill your mind. Let the gentle pressure of the depths lull you into a state of peace. There is nothing to do here but drift and rest and be held by the ancient, cold and silent water. Allow your thoughts to fade like the last flicker of light in the deep. Sink into the quiet, deeper and deeper and deeper still. As we drift in the deep, silent waters of the fjord, a new layer of tranquility reveals itself, not to the eye, but to the senses, a hidden boundary where two worlds of water meet and merge in a gentle, constant embrace. This is the story of the halocline, a phenomenon of profound peace, born from the meeting of mountain and sea. Picture the journey of a single drop of water, borne high in the snow-capped peaks that cradle the fjord. For months, it has been part of the crystalline structure of snow, resting in silent, frozen purity. As the summer sun touches the peak, the drop is released, joining a slow melt that trickles into a stream. This stream, cold and clear, cascades over ancient rocks filtered by moss and earth, gathering only the faintest taste of the mountain. It is fresh water, light and eager, flowing ever downward. Meanwhile, the body of the fjord is composed of salt water, heavy with the minerals of the distant ocean. It is ancient, stable and dense, having travelled vast distances. It holds the memory of open seas and deep currents. Where the freshwater streams and rivers meet the salt water of the fjord, a quiet miracle occurs. They do not instantly mix. Instead, the fresh water, being lighter, flows out over the top of the dense, heavy salt water. For a time, they flow together, yet apart, a layered river within the sea. The boundary between these two layers is the halocline. It is not a hard line like the surface of a table, but a gentle gradient, a slow transition from one state of being to another. If you were to swim through it, you would feel a sudden shift. The water around you would change, becoming noticeably colder or warmer in just a few feet. This is because the salt water, being denser, often traps colder temperatures below while the sun-warmed freshwater rests on top. This layering, known as stratification, brings an immense calm to the fjord's inner depths. The freshwater acts as a lid, a tranquil blanket over the saltwater body below. It prevents the wind from whipping the deeper waters into a frenzy. It stifles the large, turbulent currents that churn the open ocean. Because of this, the deep waters of a stratified fjord can lie still for years, even decades, undisturbed by the weather on the surface. They become a place of perfect repose. This meeting of waters also creates a unique slow-motion dance of particles. The fresh water often carries with it a faint, tan-colored stain of tannins, organic compounds leached from the soil and vegetation of the surrounding forests. This is known as humic water. As this tea-colored freshwater spreads over the deep blue saltwater, it creates a soft, filtered light, like looking through a pane of antique glass. It mutes the world below, adding another layer of serenity to the deep, blue silence we explored before. The halocline is more than just a boundary. It is a larder, a provider. The gentle, constant input of fresh water from the land carries nutrients, tiny particles of life, down into the saltwater layer. This nutrient-rich water, combined with the stable, sunlit surface, creates perfect conditions for phytoplankton, the microscopic algae that are the foundation of the fjord's food web. In spring and summer, this can lead to a bloom, a great, gentle explosion of life that colors the water a milky, turquoise green. It is a surge of vitality, but it happens with a slow, quiet inevitability, not a sudden burst. For the creatures of the fjord, the halocline is a known and constant part of their world. A salmon returning from the ocean to spawn in the very river of its birth must pass through this boundary. It feels the change in buoyancy, the shift in pressure and taste, a signal that it is nearing home. Jellyfish pulse slowly through the interface, their gelatinous bodies easily moving between the different densities. The halocline is their landscape, a soft hill in the water that they traverse with effortless grace. There is a deep, metaphorical peace in the halocline. It is a place where opposites do not clash, but coexist, where the wild energy of the mountain stream is slowly, gently absorbed into the immense, patient stillness of the sea. It is a lesson in integration, not conflict. The fresh does not conquer the salt. The salt does not reject the fresh. They find a balance, a way to lie together in a stable, layered harmony that benefits the entire ecosystem. So, as you rest, imagine this gentle gradient within you. The light, flowing thoughts of the day, the fresh water slowly settling upon the deep, stable, ancient calm of your being, the salt water. There is no need to force them to mix. Allow them to find their own balance. Let the turbulent thoughts be cushioned and quieted by the profound stillness beneath. Imagine the world outside your window, where rivers meet the sea in a silent, endless embrace. A process that has continued since the glaciers retreated, creating pockets of perfect peace in a restless world. It is a constant, gentle mixing, a whisper of movement in an immense quiet. Let the calming power of this layered water lull you. Feel the surface of your mind grow still, like the freshwater lid on the fjord, until all that remains beneath is a deep, dark, and perfect peace. Allow yourself to drift at the boundary, where wakefulness and sleep gently merge, deeper and deeper into rest. Now let your mind drift from the hidden layers within the fjord out towards the open sea. Imagine the vast, restless ocean, a realm of powerful swells driven by distant winds and the moon's constant pull. Its energy is immense, untamed, a force that sculpts coastlines and tests the endurance of all that live there. But as these oceanic swells approach the land, they meet a sentinel. A fjord does not merely indent the coastline, it interrupts it. It is a deep and profound incision, and at its mouth, often hidden just beneath the waves, lies its first and most vital gift, the threshold. This threshold, or sill, is a gentle ridge of bedrock. It is the final, enduring piece of the glacier's work, a submerged moraine of rock and debris that the ice deposited at its farthest reach, its terminal point. It is the fjord's doorstep. While the fjord behind it plunges to depths of thousands of feet, the sill may rise to within 100 or even just a few dozen feet of the surface. This simple geological feature transforms the fjord into a sanctuary. The great, rolling energy of the open ocean cannot easily cross this submerged barrier. The deep, powerful swells that travel for hundreds of miles simply lack the water depth to roll over the sill. Their energy is broken, dissipated, and reflected. The sill acts as a natural breakwater, a submerged wall that absorbs the sea's restless spirit. What passes over the sill is not the ocean's fury, but a gentle, filtered version of its movement. The water inside a fjord is not always perfectly still. It has its own quiet rhythms, but they are rhythms of a different, softer kind. Instead of the great heaving swells of the open sea, the fjord has gentle ripples. Instead of crashing waves, it has lapping whispers against the stone. The wind may still ruffle its surface, but the deep, foundational unrest of the ocean is left at the door. This creation of a sheltered haven has profound consequences. It makes life possible in ways the open coast could never allow. The calm waters provide a vital nursery for countless species. Young fish, fragile and small, can grow in the protected inner basins, safe from the violent currents and predators of the exposed sea. Forests of kelp can take root on the sunlit sides of the sill, their long, ribbon-like fronds swaying in the gentle, predictable currents, rather than being torn away by surf. The stillness also creates a mirror. On a calm day, the surface of a fjord becomes a perfect, liquid glass doubling the world. Mountains, clouds, and sky are reflected with such clarity that the boundary between reality and reflection blurs. This phenomenon is not just beautiful. It is a direct result of the peace enforced by the guardian sill. It is a peace so deep it can hold the entire sky within itself. For humans, too, these sheltered waters have been a historical refuge. The Vikings, master sailors of stormy seas, used fjords as protected harbors, places to build their settlements and moor their longships. The calm waters allowed for travel, trade, and fishing, fostering communities in a landscape that might otherwise have been too harsh and exposed. The fjord was a protector, a provider of safe passage in a tumultuous world. There is a deep, reassuring lesson in the sill's quiet work. It does not fight the ocean. It does not confront the waves head-on. It simply exists, a steadfast and enduring presence that by its very nature absorbs the chaos and allows only tranquility to pass. It is a lesson in resilience through stability, not through force. So as you rest tonight, imagine the great, restless ocean of the world, the churning thoughts, the waves of worry, the swells of tomorrow's tasks. And then imagine your own silent threshold, a deep, geological calm within you that acts as a guardian, a presence that allows the necessary rhythms of life to enter, but breaks the force of the storm. Let the chaotic energies of the day break harmlessly against this inner sill. Let them be dissipated into nothingness. Inside your sanctuary there is only the gentle lapping of quiet thoughts, the deep, still water of rest, and the perfect mirrored reflection of a peaceful mind. You are in the sheltered haven now. The guardian is at the gate. The sea is calm. The world is held at bay. There is nothing to do but float in this profound and protected peace. Let your breath be a gentle ripple on this still inner water, deeper and deeper into safety, into sleep. From the deep, sheltered silence of the fjord's heart, We now turn our attention upwards, along the sheer rock faces that rise towards the sky. Here, another element of the fjord's serene poetry reveals itself. It begins not as a sight, but as a sound, a distant, steady whisper that grows into a soft, percussive rhythm. This is the music of the waterfalls, the gentle, flowing veils that adorn the shoulders of every fjord. These cascades are the direct descendants of the ancient ice that carved this land. Remember the hanging valleys, those smaller glacial tributaries, left suspended high on the cliffsides when the main glacier, far more powerful, carved its deeper trough. These valleys are the source. Within them, snowmelt and rainfall gather into streams that flow to the valley's edge and then simply keep going. They leap into the open air, transforming from flowing water into falling light and sound. Each waterfall has its own character. Some are thin, silver threads, delicate as spider silk, catching the light as they drift and sway in the wind, never quite reaching the salt water below, instead dissolving into a fine, cooling mist. Others are broader, more robust curtains of white pouring over rounded ledges of polished granite with a constant, hushed roar. In the spring, during the great thaw, they are at their most powerful, a thundering yet still harmonious testament to the abundance of melting snow. But as summer deepens, they soften, becoming quieter, more contemplative streams. The journey of the water over the cliff face is a slow-motion ballet. It is not a single, solid mass, but a collective of countless droplets, each on its own brief, glittering path. They tumble and spin, catching the sun for a fleeting moment before rejoining the whole. When the light hits them just right, they create permanent shifting rainbows that hover in the mist like ethereal bridges connecting the mountain to the fjord. This constant vertical flow is a vital pulse for the fjord's ecosystem. The waterfalls are the lifelines, the arteries that carry fresh, oxygen-rich water from the high plateaus down into the marine world. They churn the surface, mixing the layers we've come to know, and they carry with them a fine glacial silt, rock flour ground by ancient ice, that gives the water its characteristic milky turquoise hue near the base. This silt is rich in minerals, a gentle, constant fertilization that nourishes the phytoplankton, the invisible pasture of the sea. But perhaps the most soothing role of the waterfall is its sound. In the immense stillness of the fjord, the sound of a distant cascade is nature's most perfect white noise. It is not a jarring crash, but a continuous resonant whisper. It is a sound that masks all others, absorbing the occasional cry of a bird or the rustle of the wind into its own unwavering frequency. This sound has been shown to calm the human mind, its predictable rhythm slowing the heart rate and encouraging a state of deep relaxation. It is the fjord's lullaby, a song that has been sung for 10,000 years. To sit at the base of a fjord waterfall is to be in the presence of a perpetual motion machine that generates only peace. The air is cool and damp, filled with the clean mineral scent of wet stone and mountain air. The fine spray kisses your skin. The sound envelops you, creating a private auditory cocoon where the outside world cannot intrude. It is a place where time seems to slow to the pace of the falling water, constant, endless, and without urgency. There is a profound lesson in the waterfall's acceptance of its path. The stream does not hesitate at the cliff's edge. It does not try to flow backwards. It simply continues its journey, transforming its nature from a horizontal flow to a vertical cascade, embracing the fall as simply the next stage of its existence. It finds its power not in resisting the landscape, but in flowing with it, and in doing so, creates something of breathtaking beauty and tranquility. So as you settle into rest, invite the sound of this ancient, gentle cascade into your mind. Let it be the soundtrack to your sleep. Imagine it not as a roaring torrent, but as a soft, steady whisper in the distance. A sound that has echoed through these stone corridors since the ice retreated. With each breath in, picture the clear, cold water gathering in a high mountain tarn. With each breath out, imagine it beginning its graceful descent, a silken veil unfurling down the dark rock face. Let your thoughts be like individual droplets joining this endless flow, falling away from you, released into the misty air below. The waterfall carries your cares away. It washes the day from your mind. Its rhythm is the rhythm of release, of letting go, of surrendering to gravity and grace. Listen to its distant, soothing roar. Feel its cool mist on your skin, and allow yourself to drift on its sound down into the deep, quiet pool of sleep. Let the veils of water lull you. Let the rhythm of the fall become the rhythm of your heart. Steady, constant, and deeply, deeply peaceful. Beneath the mirrored surface of the fjord, where the light softens to a gentle green-gold glow, lies a world of serene and swaying majesty. We have explored the dark abyss, but here, in the sunlit shallows along the rocky shores, another landscape unfolds. These are the quiet forests of the deep, the kelp gardens, where life moves not to the rhythm of the wind, but to the slow, hypnotic pulse of the currents. Imagine submerging yourself into this underwater realm. The first thing you notice is the quality of the light filtered through a canopy of immense flowing strands. It dapples the seabed in shifting patterns of amber and gold, a serene, aqueous light show. Towering above you are the giants of this forest, giant kelp. Their anchors, called holdfasts, grip tenaciously to the rocky sill, the very guardian of the fjord, creating a foundation for life. From these anchors, slender yet incredibly strong stipes rise, reaching up towards the distant sun, sometimes growing over a foot in a single day. At the surface, the stipes unfurl into broad, glossy blades like long, brown-green ribbons. These form a dense, floating canopy that rides the gentle swells, a living raft that provides shelter from the sun and a resting place for seabirds. But below the surface, the true magic begins. The long, leathery blades sway in a continuous, graceful dance, moved by the slow, breathing motion of the tides and the faint, residual currents that the fjord's protective sill allows to pass. This is not a wild thrashing, but a slow, meditative sweeping back and forth, as regular as a pendulum. This movement creates a rhythm for the entire ecosystem. The kelp itself is a master of gentle persistence. It does not fight the water, it flows with it, its flexibility, its greatest strength. It bends and sways, absorbing the energy that would break a rigid structure. In its calm, constant motion, it generates peace. The kelp forest is a sanctuary, a city of quiet commerce and refuge. The dense stalks and drifting blades break up the light and provide countless hiding places. Juvenile fish, no larger than your fingertip, dart between the stipes, their silver sides flashing in the dim light. They find safety here from larger predators, growing strong in this submerged nursery. Crabs and shrimps cling to the kelp's rough surface, scuttling slowly in their search for food, their movements small and deliberate amidst the grand, sweeping motion of the forest. Lobsters patrol the rocky floor between the holdfasts, their long antennae slowly probing the shadows. Starfish, in vibrant shades of purple and orange, cling to the rocks, moving with an almost imperceptible slowness. Anemones, looking like delicate pink and white flowers, adorn the kelp's stipes, their tentacles waving softly in the current, waiting for an unsuspecting morsel to drift by. Every creature here moves with a calm, energy-saving pace. There is no need for frantic speed in this world of abundant shelter and gentle rhythms. The kelp itself is the engine of this tranquil world. Through photosynthesis, it converts the fjords, filtered sunlight into energy, and in the process, it releases oxygen, filling the water with the very breath of life. It is a forest that breathes exhaling tranquility. When storms occasionally agitate the surface, the kelp's sway becomes more pronounced, a deeper, more resonant dance that protects the creatures below by dissipating the water's energy. And when a blade is torn away, it does not signify death but a new beginning, as it drifts away to provide nutrients elsewhere or to release its spores and found a new garden far away. There is a profound, almost spiritual serenity in floating through a kelp forest. The world above, with its noise and haste, vanishes. The only sound is the low, resonant hum of water moving past your ears and the soft, rustling sigh of a million blades swaying in unison. It is a place that operates on a different time scale, a slow green world where growth is steady, movement is graceful, and life is lived in the gentle embrace of the currents. So, as you lie in the darkness, ready for sleep, imagine yourself drifting into this quiet, underwater forest. Feel the water hold you, weightless and calm. Watch the sunbeams play through the golden-green canopy above you. See the slow, sweeping dance of the kelp, a ballet that has continued for millennia. Let your thoughts be like the small fish, finding refuge in the gentle, swaying strands. Let your worries be carried away on the same slow current that moves the kelp, released into the vast, peaceful expanse of the fjord. Breathe in the oxygen-rich water, the very breath of the forest. Breathe out and feel yourself becoming part of its rhythm, swaying gently back and forth in a timeless, tranquil dance. The kelp guards your rest. The forest cradles you. Allow its deep, green peace to fill you from the tips of your fingers to the depths of your soul, pulling you gently down into the soft, sandy seabed of sleep. As we drift further into the heart of the fjord, the air grows colder, carrying a scent of ancient frost and pure, untouched stone. The sounds of waterfalls and birds begin to fade, replaced by a deeper, more profound silence, a silence that is not merely an absence of sound, but a presence in itself. We are approaching the head of the fjord, a place where the eternal winter still holds sway, and where the fjord reveals its most majestic and serene role, that of a cradle for icebergs. Here, at the innermost reach, the mountains seem to close in, their peaks sheathed in perpetual snow. From these heights, great rivers of ice, the glaciers, begin their slow, inexorable journey. These are the same architects that carved the fjord itself, now in a quieter, more reflective old age. They no longer advance with grinding force, but they are far from still. Their leading edge, the glacier terminus, is a towering, blue-white cliff of ice that rises directly from the dark water. This is where the great, slow dance of carving begins. It is a process of immense power, yet it unfolds with a breathtaking slow-motion grace. Deep within the glacier, the ice groans and creaks, speaking in a language of pressure and time. Then a crack echoes across the water, sharp and clear as a bell. A fissure appears, zigzagging down the icy face. For minutes or even hours, nothing seems to happen. Then, with a majestic, sighing roar, a colossal block of ice A piece of the glacier itself leans forward, separates, and plunges into the fjord. The impact is thunderous, yet it feels absorbed by the immense stillness of the mountains. A great wave radiates out, but it is quickly subdued by the fjord's deep, calm waters. What remains, bobbing and rolling in the dark water, is a newborn iceberg. It is a sculpture of impossible beauty, a fragment of a distant ice age now set adrift in the modern world. Each iceberg is a unique, floating masterpiece. Its shape is a record of its birth and its journey. Some are small and jagged like crushed diamonds. Others are vast, flat-topped islands known as tabular bergs with sheer, azure walls that plunge into the abyss. But their true magic lies beneath the surface. What we see above the water is merely a tenth of their entirety. The hidden bulk, the submerged 9/10, is a world of sculpted arches, deep blue caverns, and crystalline structures that glow with an internal light. The color of the ice is a language of its own. White ice is filled with tiny trapped air bubbles that scatter the light. But the deep, mesmerizing blue, the color of a winter sky just after sunset, is the color of ancient, dense ice. This ice has been under such immense pressure for so many thousands of years that the air bubbles have been squeezed out, allowing the ice to absorb all other colors of the spectrum and reflect only this profound, tranquil blue. To gaze into a blue berg is to gaze directly into deep time, into centuries of compacted snow that fell before the rise of human civilizations. These icebergs now begin their final, silent voyage. They are passive travelers, moved by the faintest of currents and the gentle push of the wind. They drift down the fjord at a pace that makes no sense in our hurried world. They may take days, weeks, or even months to travel a distance a boat could cover in an hour. They rotate slowly, presenting new facets to the sun, their surfaces melting and refreezing, constantly evolving. Their journey is one of quiet dissolution. As they drift into slightly warmer waters, they begin to melt. This is not a violent process, but a gentle fading. Small pieces, known as bergy bits or growlers, carve off with soft, popping sounds. The icebergs fizz softly as ancient air, trapped for millennia, is finally released in a stream of tiny bubbles. They are returning the water of ages to the sea, completing a cycle that began as snowfall on a mountaintop long, long ago. The presence of these drifting leviathans brings an awe-inspiring hush to the fjord. Boats move slowly and respectfully, their engines a low hum. The water around them is preternaturally still, often littered with smaller, glittering pieces of ice that look like floating diamonds. The only sound is the occasional drip, drip, drip of meltwater, a timeless, rhythmic clock counting down the iceberg's serene existence. So, as you prepare for sleep, imagine yourself in the presence of these gentle giants. Picture a vast blue-white iceberg, silent and majestic, drifting in the middle of a perfectly calm, dark fjord. The moon reflects off its crystalline facets. The water is like black glass. Feel the profound patience of the ice. It has taken thousands of years to arrive here, and it is in no rush to leave. Its slow, stately drift is a lesson in surrendering to the currents of time. Its gentle melting is a lesson in release, in returning peacefully to the source. Let your thoughts be like the air bubbles trapped in the ice. Old worries, old pressures, slowly and gently released, fizzing away into the vast, dark, forgiving water until all that remains is a deep, clear, and tranquil blue. You are cradled in the eternal winter. You are drifting in a silent, icy embrace. Let the cold, pure air fill your lungs. Let the deep silence of the ice calm your heart. And as the iceberg slowly journeys towards the open sea, allow yourself to drift with it away from the shores of wakefulness and into the deep, dark and peaceful ocean of sleep. Let us now sink back down past the sunlit kelp forests beyond the gentle drift of the icebergs into the deepest, most silent part of the fjord. Here, in the trenches that plunge thousands of feet, the last traces of sunlight fade into nothing. We have entered a world of absolute darkness, a realm perpetually draped in a soft, heavy blanket of night. This is not a place of emptiness, but one of profound and quiet mystery, where life has learned to thrive in the endless calm of the abyss. The pressure here is immense, a constant, comforting weight that would be crushing to surface-dwelling creatures, but is simply home to the residents of the deep. The water is cold, hovering just above freezing, and perfectly still. The great storms and seasonal changes of the surface world are meaningless here. This is a place of eternal stability, of timeless equilibrium. It is the most consistent environment on Earth. In this world without light, the primary sense is not sight, but touch, vibration, and chemistry. The creatures of the deep have adapted to the darkness in ways that seem otherworldly, yet are perfectly suited to their serene home. Many are blind, their eyes having receded over generations, rendered useless in the perpetual gloom. In their place, they have developed exquisite sensitivity to the slightest movement in the water. A shrimp, drifting in the blackness, can feel the gentle wake of a tiny worm burrowing in the sediment meters away. Others have become masters of a silent, cold fire, bioluminescence. In the absence of the sun, they create their own light. But this is not the bright, glaring light of human invention. It is a soft, ethereal glow, blues and greens that pulse and shimmer in the blackness. A jellyfish might trail long, glowing tentacles like a ghostly bridal train. A deep-sea fish might dangle a luminous lure just in front of its mouth, a single, beckoning star in the void to attract curious prey. This biological light is a language. A quick flash can startle a predator. A specific pattern of pulses can attract a mate. A steady glow along an underbelly can camouflage a creature's silhouette against the faint, fading light from above, a strategy called counter-illumination. The deep, dark fjord becomes a planetarium of living constellations, a silent conversation of gentle flashes and slow fades, a private light show that has played out for millennia, unseen by any eyes but their own. The pace of life here is slow, a reflection of the cold and the scarcity of food. Metabolism is throttled down to a bare minimum. Creatures move with a deliberate, graceful slowness, expending energy only when absolutely necessary. A fish may hover motionless for hours, waiting for a potential meal to drift within reach. A sea cucumber moves across the silty bottom at a pace that makes the growth of a tree seem frantic. This is not laziness, but supreme efficiency, a deep, ingrained wisdom that understands the value of conservation in a world where a single meal might be weeks apart. The food that sustains this quiet world drifts down from above in a constant, gentle snow, marine snow. It is a slow, silent shower of dead plankton, tiny animal feces, dust, and other organic debris that filters down from the sunlit layers. This endless snowfall is the deep fjord's primary source of energy, a delicate, life-giving rain that falls day and night, season after season. The residents of the abyss are master scavengers, patiently waiting to collect this manna from the world above. They are the ultimate recyclers, ensuring that not a single speck of energy is wasted. There is a deep, resonant peace in this dark world. The constant, gentle pressure is like a heavy quilt, comforting and secure. The darkness is not something to be feared, but a soft, velvety embrace that hides nothing more dangerous than the quiet, slow struggle for existence. The silence is so complete, it feels like a physical presence, a tonic for a mind accustomed to noise. To exist here is to understand true stillness. It is to live in a state of profound acceptance of the environment, where the frantic rush of the surface has no meaning. The deep, dark fjord is a sanctuary from the light, from the noise, from the constant churn of activity. It is a reminder that half of life exists in the quiet, hidden places in the patient, dark, and gentle arms of the world. So, as you lie in the darkness of your room, imagine yourself sinking into this deep, black water. Feel the comforting weight of the abyss around you. See the occasional soft pulse of a distant, glowing jellyfish, a fleeting, beautiful thought that appears and then vanishes back into the calm. Let the slow, steady fall of marine snow lull you. Each tiny, drifting particle is a worry, a thought, a memory from the day, gently settling onto the soft, silty bottom of your mind, where it can be quietly recycled and released. There is no need for light here. There is no need for speed. There is only the deep, dark, silent embrace. Allow the blanket of the deep fjord to cover you. Let your breathing slow to the metabolic pace of the abyss. Drift, weightless and serene, in the endless, peaceful night. Sink into the soft, dark bottom of sleep. The world is quiet here. You are safe in the darkness. As we drift through the immense, timeless silence of the fjords, it is easy to feel that these landscapes have always been untouched, forever wild. But if you listen closely, with the inner ear of the mind, you can hear the faintest of echoes, not of ice or water, but of human voices. These are the ancient whispers of the first people who learned to live in harmony with this majestic, demanding land, the Sami and the Norse. Their stories are woven into the very fabric of the fjords, a subtle human layer in the geological tale. Long before stone castles were built, when the glaciers had only recently retreated, the Sami people moved across the northern landscapes. They are the indigenous people of Sapmi, a region that spans the northern parts of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. Theirs was not a life of permanent settlements in the fjords, but one of rhythmic, seasonal migration, a dance with the reindeer that sustained them. They were and are a people of the interior plateaus and the vast open tundra, but their world touched the heads of the fjords, where the mountains gave way to the high plains. Imagine a small Sami family group following the reindeer herds in the endless light of the summer. They might have camped at the head of a fjord, where the river, rich with salmon, met the sea. The sound of their traditional song, the joik, would have echoed off the cliff faces. A joik is not a song about a person or a place. It is a sonic embodiment of it. A joik for a fjord would capture its spirit, the deep stillness of its water, the enduring strength of its mountains, the sigh of the wind through the pine trees. It was a way of knowing a place, of giving it a voice in the human world. Their presence was light upon the land, leaving no permanent mark, but a profound spiritual resonance that lingers in the quiet places. From the sea came another people, the Norse, masters of the wooden ship and the ocean wave. They saw the fjords not as barriers, but as highways. Their long ships, slender and dragon-proud, were perfectly designed to navigate these deep, sheltered waters. They did not fight the fjord. They used its calmness, its predictability. A Norse vessel could glide for miles into the heart of the land, its oars dipping rhythmically into the still, dark water, its sail catching the occasional gust that funneled down the canyon. Where a fjord widened and the sun touched the land, they found their home. They chose places where the soil was rich and a river met the sea, building their long houses from timber and turf. The smoke from their hearths would rise slowly into the still air, carrying the scent of pine and baking bread. The sounds of their daily life, the ring of an axe splitting wood, the lowing of cattle, the laughter of children, would bounce softly across the water, the first permanent human sounds in the fjord's long memory. The Norse lived by the rhythm of the fjord. They farmed the narrow strips of land at its edges, fished its teeming waters, and hunted in its forests. Their stories, the Norse sagas and the Eddas, are filled with the imagery of their world. They spoke of Yggdrasil, the world tree, whose roots reached into the underworld and whose branches held the heavens, a perfect metaphor for the fjord itself. With its roots in the deep, dark ocean and its cliffs scraping the sky, they believed in land spirits, the Landvetir, who inhabited rocks, waterfalls and secluded coves. Out of respect, they would approach a new land cautiously so as not to anger the spirits who dwelled there. This was not a religion of domination, but one of coexistence. The fjord provided for them, but it also demanded respect. The long, dark winters, when the sun vanished behind the mountains for months, were a time of introspection and storytelling, huddled around the fire in the longhouse. The sudden, violent storms that could occasionally whip the fjord's surface into a fury were reminders of the power of the gods, Thor and Njord. Life was a partnership with the landscape, a balance between taking and giving, between courage and caution. Today, the whispers of these ancient peoples are still there for those who listen. A Sami joik sung in a modern hall still carries the spirit of the wind and the reindeer. A staved church, with its dragon-head peaks reminiscent of Viking ships, stands as a silent sentinel near the water's edge. A place name ending in fjord, or vik, bay, is a direct linguistic gift from the Norse, a label they placed upon the land that has endured for over 1,000 years. So, as you rest, let your mind drift to these ancient shores. Picture the longship gliding silently through the mist, its journey a slow, determined pulse in the vast quiet. Hear the distant, haunting melody of a joik carried on the wind, a song that gives voice to the mountain. These whispers tell a story of harmony. They remind us that humans, too, are part of this landscape's long story. We are at our most peaceful when we listen to the land, when we move with its rhythms and learn its quiet language. Let the ancient calm of the Sami and the Norse settle over you. Their respect for this land is a lullaby for the modern soul. Breathe in the scent of their ancient fires. Listen to the gentle dip of an oar in the water. And as you drift to sleep, know that you are part of a long, unbroken line of those who have found peace and wonder in the deep, silent embrace of the fjords. As the deep polar night settles over the fjords, a silence even more profound than that of the abyss descends. The sun has retreated, and for months the only light comes from the silver moon and the cold, sharp twinkle of stars. But on certain nights the darkness itself begins to stir. The sky, which has been a velvet black canvas, slowly ignites. This is the stage for the most ethereal of all performances, the aurora borealis, and in the still waters of the fjord, it finds its perfect mirror. The science of the lights is a story of cosmic connection. It begins 93 million miles away on the surface of our sun. A solar flare, a tempest of unimaginable scale, hurls a cloud of charged particles, the solar wind, out into the void. Days later, this invisible storm reaches Earth. Our planet's magnetic field, a protective shield, catches these particles and funnels them toward the magnetic poles. As they rush downward, they collide with atoms and molecules in our upper atmosphere, oxygen and nitrogen. In these collisions, energy is transferred and the air itself begins to glow. Oxygen, when excited, emits the ghostly greens and deep reds that form the curtains of light. Nitrogen produces the rippling blues and purples that dance at the edges. But this scientific explanation, for all its wonder, cannot capture the feeling of standing beneath the display. It is like describing a symphony by listing the frequencies of its notes. Now imagine this celestial dance occurring over a fjord. The mountains are hulking, dark silhouettes against the stirring sky. There is no sound, no wind. The air is bitingly cold and perfectly clear. Then the first faint, luminous band appears. It is like a smear of phosphorescent paint across the stars, a pale, hesitant green. It shimmers, gains confidence, and begins to move. It is not a static thing. The aurora is a living river of light. It flows, it pulses, it folds and unfolds like a silent celestial ballet. Curtains of emerald and violet descend from the heavens, their fringes rippling as if stirred by a gentle, otherworldly breeze. They merge, they part, they intensify until the entire vault of the sky is alive with silent, weaving color. It can feel overwhelmingly vast, as if the sky is about to tear open, but then you look down. The fjord, in its profound stillness, captures the spectacle perfectly. The dark, glassy water becomes a second sky. Every shimmer, every pulse, every ribbon of light is reflected with perfect clarity. The aurora in the water is often even more vivid, its colors deepened by the dark canvas beneath. Now you are not standing beneath the lights. You are suspended between two heavens. The boundary between the firmament and the earth dissolves. You are floating in the center of a sphere of silent, dancing light. This is the true magic of the fjord as a witness to the aurora. Its sheltered, calm nature, protected by its guardian sill, provides the perfect mirror. A rough sea would shatter the reflection into 1,000 glittering fragments, but the fjord holds the image steady, doubling the beauty, making the immense feel intimate. The vast cosmic phenomenon becomes a private display contained within the stone walls of the ancient glacial valley. The experience is one of profound humility and deep peace. The lights are a reminder that we are part of a much larger system, connected to the fury of our star. Yet their silent, graceful movement is deeply soothing. There is no roar, no crash, only the slow, graceful sweep of light. It is a visual lullaby. The mind, trying to follow the gentle, unpredictable flow, is mesmerized into a state of quiet awe. Thought subsides. There is only watching. For the ancient peoples of the north, the lights were woven into their mythology. The Sami believed they were the energies of the souls of the departed. The Norse saw them as the glittering armor of the Valkyries, riding to escort fallen warriors to Valhalla. To stand under them was to be close to the divine, to the mystical. That feeling persists. It is impossible to witness this spectacle without a sense of reverence, without feeling that you are in the presence of something sacred and ancient. So, as you lie in the darkness, ready for sleep, close your eyes and imagine this silent dance. Picture yourself on a small wooden dock, on the edge of a still, black fjord. The air is cold, but you are wrapped in warmth. Above you, a great green curtain of light slowly unfurls, its edges tinged with pink. It pulses softly, breathing light into the night. And below you, in the water, an identical curtain unfolds, a perfect, shimmering reflection. You are at the center of this perfect symmetry, cradled between the sky and its mirror. Breathe in time with the slow, pulsing glow. Let the gentle, flowing motion of the lights wash over your mind, soothing your thoughts, carrying them away on its silent, radiant current. There is no need to think, only to be, a quiet witness to the universe's most peaceful dream. Feel your own stillness, as deep and calm as the fjord's water, perfectly reflecting the beautiful tranquil darkness. Allow the silent, shimmering light to lead you gently from wakefulness down into the deep, reflective pool of sleep. After the deep, star-filled winter, the Arctic world undergoes a transformation so gradual it is almost imperceptible, yet so complete it feels like the turning of a new page in the book of the year. The sun, which had been a distant memory, begins to reclaim its dominion. It climbs higher, stays longer, until it performs its most breathtaking miracle. It refuses to set. This is the time of the midnight sun, when night never falls and the fjords are bathed in the soft golden light of an endless gentle evening. Imagine a clock whose hands have been removed. Time as a rigid structure of day and night begins to dissolve. The light at midnight is unlike any other. It is a low, slanting light, rich and honeyed, that paints the world in tones of amber and rose. The sharp shadows of noon have softened into long, gentle pools of dusk. The air is often still, carrying a profound silence that feels amplified by the unearthly glow. The frantic pace of the day has no place here. This is a time for contemplation, for quiet walks, for simply being. From a boat in the middle of a fjord, the experience is surreal. The water, so often a dark mirror, becomes a sheet of liquid gold or a shimmering expanse of peach and lavender. The mountains are not the stark, dramatic silhouettes of the aurora, but are softened, their features gilded by the sun that skims the northern horizon. There is no defined direction of the light. It seems to emanate from everywhere at once, filling the world with a diffuse, dreamlike radiance. The sun itself, a swollen red-gold orb, simply rolls along the rim of the world, never dipping below it, a constant, reassuring companion. This perpetual daylight works a subtle magic on the fjord's ecosystem. Life, which had slowed to a crawl during the winter, now explodes with a quiet, sustained energy. The phytoplankton, the invisible grass of the sea, bloom in the constant light, turning the water a milky, ethereal green near the shores. This abundance cascades up the food chain. Birds, who have migrated vast distances to be here, engage in a continuous 24-hour hunt. The cries of gulls and terns echo at 3 in the morning, not as a dawn chorus, but as a timeless soundtrack to the season. For the animals, there is no need to rest for the night. The urgency to feed their young and build their strength for the winter to come is unending. For the human spirit, the midnight sun brings a strange and beautiful liberation. The pressure of the coming darkness, the need to hurry and finish tasks before nightfall, simply vanishes. There is a sense of expanded possibility. A hike can begin at 10 in the evening. A quiet conversation on the dock can stretch on for hours, uninterrupted by the need for artificial light. The mind, freed from the queue of darkness, often feels less need for sleep, existing in a pleasant, wakeful dream state. It is a time for creativity, for introspection, and for a deep, pervasive peace that comes from living in harmony with the sun's slow, endless circuit. This is not the harsh, glaring light of a tropical noon. It is a forgiving light, a gentle light. It flatters the landscape, smoothing rough edges and highlighting the delicate beauty of a single wildflower or a drop of dew on a spider's web. The world feels paused, suspended in a beautiful golden hour that lasts for weeks. The Norse, who lived through this cycle, must have felt a profound connection to their gods during this time, a sense that the normal rules of the world had been suspended, that they were living in a blessed, temporary paradise. The silence of the midnight sun is different from the silence of the polar night. The winter silence is deep, heavy, and introspective. The summer silence is light, airy, and full of potential. It is a silence punctuated by the gentle lap of water against the shore, the distant cry of a loon, the hum of a bee. It is a living silence, a contented sigh from the earth itself. As the sun makes its lowest pass along the horizon, a profound calm settles over the fjord. This is the closest it comes to night, a time often called the blue hour, though it may last only minutes. The gold fades to a soft, cool blue, and for a fleeting moment, the world is washed in a tranquil, monochromatic light before the sun begins its slow climb again, heralding a new day that never truly ended. So, as you rest, imagine this endless, gentle evening. Picture the sun, a friendly, low-hanging lantern in the sky, casting long, soft shadows. Feel the weight of time lift from your shoulders. There is no rush. There is no deadline. The night will not come to interrupt your peace. Let this perpetual, golden light fill your mind, warming your thoughts from within. Breathe in the quiet, sustained energy of the Arctic summer. There is no need for sleep to be a surrender to darkness. Let it be a gentle drifting in an eternal, soothing light. Close your eyes and feel the sun on your face, even in the darkness of your room. Know that somewhere a fjord is bathed in this peaceful, endless glow. And in that knowledge you can release the day, not into night, but into a soft, golden dream that has no end. Let your breathing become as slow and constant as the sun's journey along the horizon. Drift in this timeless light, deeper and deeper into rest. In the immense quiet of the fjords, sound does not disappear. Instead, it becomes purified, each note isolated and clear, arriving at the ear not as noise, but as a distinct element of the landscape. These are the fjord's lullabies, the gentle, natural melodies that have sung life to sleep here for millennia. They form a symphony of serenity, a composition written not by man but by water, wind, and wing. The most constant of these sounds is the whisper of water. It is a multifaceted voice. At the shoreline, there is the soft, rhythmic lapping against smooth grey stones, a gentle, percussive beat as regular as a resting heartbeat. It is the sound of patience, of the fjord breathing slowly in and out with the faintest pulse of the tide. This is the foundational rhythm of the fjord song, a sound so subtle you feel it as much as you hear it, a vibration through the earth and air. From high above, another water sound drifts down, the distant sigh of the waterfalls. Unlike the powerful roar of a lowland cascade, the fjord's waterfalls are often heard as a steady, white noise, a constant, hushed exhale emanating from the cliffs. It is a sound that masks all others, absorbing any jarring, sudden noise into its own unwavering frequency. To the human mind, this sound is a powerful trigger for relaxation, its predictable resonance slowing the heart rate and encouraging the brain to release its hold on the day's clutter. It is the fjord's most effective sleep aid, a natural blanket of sound. Then there is the wind. But here, in the sheltered arms of the fjord, the wind is rarely a gale. It is a gentle breath. It moves through the pine and birch forests that cling to the lower slopes, and the sound it creates is a soft, rustling sibilance, like the rustle of silk sheets. It is a whispering chorus, the trees sharing quiet secrets with one another. Higher up, where only hardy grasses and lichen grow, the wind passes over the smooth, polished rock of the mountain tops, producing a low, resonant hum, the deep, fundamental note of the fjord's presence. Interspersed through this backdrop of water and wind are the calls of the fjord's inhabitants. These are not the chaotic squawks of a city, but purposeful melodic communications. The cry of a white-tailed sea eagle is a clear, piping whistle that carries for miles, a solitary note of wildness that hangs in the air before fading. The loon, or great northern diver, has a call that is the very essence of the northern wilderness, a haunting, tremulous wail that seems to speak of loneliness and vast open spaces. It is a sound that pierces the soul, yet brings a profound sense of peace, a reminder of the untamed beauty of the world. On the cliffs, the chorus of nesting seabirds creates a different kind of music. The kittiwakes, with their name-like call, the deep grunts of the guillemots, the rhythmic croaking of the ravens, these blend into a lively, yet strangely soothing chatter. It is the sound of community, of life thriving in its niche. From the land, the soft gurgle of a snowmelt stream, hidden in a gully, adds a high, tinkling melody to the composition. a delicate counterpoint to the deeper voices of the fjord. Perhaps the most magical auditory phenomenon is the way these sounds travel and interact with the fjord's unique geography. The steep, hard walls of the mountains act as natural sound mirrors. A single bird call can be reflected back and forth, creating a faint, overlapping echo that lingers in the air. A seal's bark from across the water might arrive at your ears with a crystalline clarity, as if the animal were right beside you. This creates a soundscape that feels both immense and intimate, a perfectly mixed concert where every instrument is heard in perfect balance. In the winter, the symphony changes key. The lapping water is silenced by a fringe of ice. The waterfalls are frozen in mid-cascade. A heavy snowfall acts as an acoustic absorber, creating a silence so deep it is almost palpable. In this quiet, the smallest sounds become magnified: the crunch of a boot on frozen snow, the tinkling of ice crystals falling from a branch, the soft, low groan of the fjord ice itself shifting. It is a more minimalist composition, a single, sustained note of peace. These sounds are the true lullabies of the North. They are not a distraction, but an invitation to listen, to be present, and to let go. They are a reminder that the world is full of music that requires no composer, only a listener. This sonic tapestry has been woven for thousands of years, a constant and reassuring presence. So, as you lie in the silence of your room, do not hear the absence of sound. Hear the presence of the fjord. Imagine the gentle lap of water on stone, the steady whisper of a distant waterfall, the soft sigh of wind through pine needles. Let these sounds wash over you. Let the rhythmic lapping slow your breathing. Let the white noise of the waterfall empty your mind. Let the haunting call of the loon carry your worries away into the vast, dark wilderness. You are being sung to sleep by the oldest choir in the world. There are no words, only pure, calming vibration. Surrender to the symphony. Allow each sound to be a gentle step, leading you deeper and deeper down the path into a peaceful, dream-filled sleep. Listen and drift away. High on the sheer cliff faces and skimming the mirror-still waters, the fjords are home to a community of birds whose lives are woven into the very fabric of this landscape. Their presence adds a layer of vibrant yet serene activity to the stillness. Among them, two iconic figures stand as perfect opposites. One, a master of the air, a symbol of solitary power. The other, a creature of the water and earth, a picture of charming industry. These are the sea eagle and the puffin, and their hidden world is a gentle drama of survival and grace. Let us first turn our eyes to the skies, to the silent, soaring figure of the white-tailed sea eagle. This is a bird of immense presence, with a wingspan that can stretch over 8 feet, like a living tapestry of brown and cream against the grey rock and blue sky. It is a creature of profound patience. For hours it may perch on a dead snag at the water's edge, perfectly still, a statue surveying its domain. Its stillness is not emptiness, but a focused, potent calm, a gathering of energy. Then with a few powerful yet seemingly effortless wing beats, it ascends. It does not flap frantically. It soars, riding the thermal currents that rise along the sun-warmed cliffs. It is the undisputed monarch of the fjord's air, and its flight is a lesson in economy and power. From its great height, its sharp, yellow eyes scan the water's surface, missing nothing. A flicker of silver, the flash of a fish near the surface, and the eagle tucks its wings, becoming a swift, descending arrow. The strike is swift and decisive, its talons piercing the water with a soft splash. It rises again, a fish clutched tightly, water dripping from its legs like liquid diamonds as it returns to its perch to feed. Its call, a series of clear, piping whistles, echoes across the water, a solitary, wild fanfare that speaks of open spaces and untamed freedom. In stark contrast to the eagle's solitary reign is the bustling, charming world of the Atlantic puffin. If the eagle is the fjord's king, the puffin is its beloved comical citizen. They are birds of the cliffs, but of a different part, the bustling, vertical cities of the bird colonies. Here, on narrow ledges and in burrows dug into the soft turf of the cliff tops, thousands of puffins gather in a quiet, purposeful community. From a distance, a puffin colony in spring is a scene of gentle, constant motion. Their black and white plumage, formal as a tuxedo, is offset by their most astonishing feature, a large, triangular bill, brilliantly striped in orange, blue and yellow. For most of the year, this finery is shed, but during the breeding season it becomes a beacon of courtship and a tool of life. They stand upright, often in small groups, nodding and bowing to one another, a silent, ritualized conversation. Their true magic, however, is revealed in their fishing trips. A puffin is a master diver, a flying submarine. Launching themselves from the cliff, they fly with a whirring, frantic beat of their wings low over the water. Then they plunge, using their wings to fly effortlessly beneath the surface, their webbed feet acting as a rudder. They are pursuit hunters, chasing down small, silvery fish like herring and sand eels. Their greatest skill is in gathering. Their raspy tongues allow them to press dozens of small fish crosswise against their bill, lining them up neatly to carry back to their single, waiting chick in the burrow. Watching a puffin surface, its colorful bill laden with a full catch, is to witness one of nature's most efficient and endearing provisioning rituals. The lives of these two birds are a study in the fjord's peaceful balance. The eagle, for all its power, poses little threat to the healthy, agile adult puffin. The puffins, with their sheer numbers and watchful eyes, are a community that thrives under the very shadow of the predator. They share the same water, the same fish, the same cliffs, each fulfilling its role without conflict, each a vital thread in the fjord's ecological tapestry. Their sounds, too, contribute to the fjord's lullaby. The eagle's high, clear whistle from afar, a note of solitary grandeur. The puffin's low, guttural, almost groaning call from the colony, a soft, communal murmur like the distant sound of a contented village. So, as you drift towards sleep, let your mind wander to these avian lives. Picture the sea eagle, a still, dark shape against the twilight sky, a sentinel of the calm. Its silent, circling flight is a meditation, a slow, sweeping arc that can soothe a restless mind. Then imagine the puffin, bobbing gently on the dark water before diving into the silent world below. Its comical, earnest demeanor is a gentle reminder not to take life too seriously, to find joy in simple, purposeful work. Feel the peace of the eagle's perch, the quiet industry of the puffin's colony. Let the vast, silent skies and the bustling, hidden cliffs lull you into a state of tranquil observation. You are a quiet witness to their world, a world of graceful flight and diligent dives, of solitary power and communal harmony. Breathe in the crisp, clean air of their home. Listen to the distant echo of their calls, and as you sleep, may your dreams be as free as the eagle's flight and as content as a puffin returning to its burrow, its duty done, resting in the safety of the colony under the endless, gentle, Arctic light. Beneath the watchful eyes of the eagles and the bustling activity of the puffin colonies, another presence glides through the fjord's depths. It is a creature of profound grace and quiet observation, a mammal that has chosen to return to the sea, yet must still breathe the air of the world above. These are the seals, the quiet guardians of the fjord, whose serene existence is a testament to a life lived in the balance between two worlds. Imagine the surface of the fjord on a still, grey day. The water is like polished slate. Then a ripple appears, and a smooth, round head breaks the surface. Two large, dark, liquid eyes observe the world with a calm, unblinking curiosity. This is the harbour seal, the most common sentinel of these waters. It floats vertically with only its head above water, a posture known as bottling, looking for all the world like a submerged bottle. It remains this way for minutes at a time, its body relaxed, its breath a soft, occasional puff. It is the picture of stillness. The seal is a creature of sublime adaptation. Its body is a study in hydrodynamic perfection, a sleek, fusiform shape, sheathed in a layer of insulating blubber and covered in short, dense fur. On land it moves with an awkward, caterpillar-like undulation, but in the water it is the embodiment of fluid grace. Its powerful hind flippers propel it with silent, effortless strength, while its front flippers act as precise rudders, allowing it to turn and twist with the agility of an underwater dancer. It can dive to great depths, holding its breath for up to 30 minutes as it hunts for fish, crabs, and squid in the twilight world below. But it is not just their physical form that brings a sense of peace. It is their rhythm. The life of a seal is a cycle of diving and surfacing, of submersion and breath. This rhythm is as old as life itself, a pulse of activity followed by a moment of rest and observation at the surface. After a successful hunt in the quiet depths, a seal will often haul out onto a smooth, sun-warmed rock or a secluded shingle beach. Here, in a group known as a pod, they rest. They lie together, their bodies curved in poses of deep relaxation, soaking in the weak Arctic sun. Their presence on the rocks is one of profound repose, a communal siesta where the only sounds are the lap of water and the occasional, contented sigh. They are the guardians of the fjord because they are its constant, quiet witnesses. A seal will watch a boat pass with a calm, intelligent gaze. It will observe the dive of a puffin or the flight of an eagle with a detached, almost philosophical air. They are deeply aware of their environment, their large eyes and sensitive whiskers constantly reading the underwater world, detecting the minute vibrations of distant fish. Their soft, almost mournful calls, a hollow, echoing sound that carries across the water, are a fundamental part of the fjord soundscape, a gentle, questioning note in the symphony. Their annual cycle is tied to the fjord's own. In the late spring, the females give birth to single pups on isolated tidal skerries or ice floes. The newborn harbour seal pup, with its soft white lanugo coat, is a creature of utter vulnerability and innocence. It must learn to swim within hours, guided by its mother's patient nudges. This tender, critical time is one of the fjord's most intimate and protected secrets, happening in hidden coves away from predators and disturbance. For the larger, more pelagic grey seal, the fjord is a seasonal haunt. Their more formidable Roman-nosed profiles can be seen further from shore, and their calls are deeper, more guttural. Yet, they share the same essential nature, a life of powerful swimming, deep diving, and long, quiet periods of rest. There is a deep, meditative quality in observing a seal. Its existence is a lesson in being present. It is fully immersed in the moment, whether it is the focused hunt in the dark water, the deep, sun-drenched sleep on the rock, or the quiet, curious observation of the world from the surface. It does not hurry. It moves with the tides, rests with the sun, and lives in a seamless flow between the elements of water and air. So, as you seek rest, imagine yourself in the presence of these gentle guardians. Picture a smooth grey head breaking the still, dark surface of the water, its dark eyes holding a deep, ancient calm. Feel the rhythm of its existence. The deep, slow dive into the quiet abyss, followed by the peaceful, buoyant rest at the surface, breathing the cool, clean air. Let your own breathing sync with this rhythm. A slow, deep inhale as the seal surfaces. A long, slow exhale as it submerges into the peace below. Feel your body become buoyant, held by the cold, salt water, weightless and free from the pull of the world. You are safe under the watch of the guardians. There is no danger here, only the quiet cycle of dive and breath, activity and rest. Allow the seal's serene presence to soothe your spirit. Let its effortless grace remind you that you too can move through your world with fluidity and calm. Drift with them now, down into the dark, quiet depths of sleep, knowing that you are watched over by the gentle, curious eyes of the fjord's quietest sentinels. Breathe in and surface. Breathe out and dive deep, deeper and deeper into rest. Beneath the mirror-like surface of the fjord, a quiet, determined pilgrimage is always underway. It is a journey woven into the very fabric of this landscape, a story of instinct, memory, and an unerring sense of home. This is the journey of the Atlantic salmon, a silver-scaled voyager whose life cycle is a timeless dance between the fresh, rushing waters of the mountain and the vast salt expanse of the ocean, with the serene fjord as its eternal corridor. The story begins not in the sea, but in the gravel beds of the very rivers that feed the fjord. Here, in the cold, oxygen-rich water, the salmon hatch from tiny eggs emerging as fry, then growing into parr, marked with dark, camouflaging bars. They spend their early years in these swift currents, learning the scent of their home river, a chemical signature imprinted upon their memory as precisely as a map. This river is their natal ground, their only true home. When the time is right, a remarkable transformation occurs. The young salmon, now called smolts, undergo a physiological change that will allow them to survive in the sea. Their silvery scales replace the parr marks, a new camouflage for the open water. Their bodies learn to process salt, reversing the osmotic challenges that would kill a freshwater fish. And then they answer the call of the current, letting it carry them downstream, away from the familiar stones and eddies of their youth, and out into the wide, still embrace of the fjord. For the young salmon, the fjord is a place of both refuge and preparation. Its sheltered, calm waters are a gentle nursery, a buffer zone between the demanding freshwater river and the wild, predatory ocean. Here, they acclimatize, growing strong on a rich diet of crustaceans and small fish. They swim in the deep, quiet channels, their silver sides flashing in the muted light, gathering strength for the next, greater leg of their journey. The fjord does not rush them. It holds them in its tranquil palm, allowing them to grow and prepare at their own pace. Then they leave. They follow the fjord's main channel, guided by the subtle pull of currents and the Earth's magnetic field, out past the protective sill and into the vast, unforgiving North Atlantic. They will spend 1, 2, or even 3 years at sea, traveling thousands of miles, feeding and growing into the powerful, muscular fish of legend. Their life in the ocean is a mystery, a chapter written in deep water and faraway currents. But the most profound part of the story is the return. After years of roaming the open ocean, something stirs within the salmon, an ancient, irresistible imperative to return. They begin the long journey back, navigating by the stars, the magnetic field, and finally, as they approach the coast, by scent. They seek out the unique chemical signature of their birth river, a scent carried on the fresh water that flows into the fjord. When they re-enter the fjord, they are transformed. They are larger, powerful, and driven by a single purpose: They stop feeding, their bodies sustained only by the energy stored in their flesh and fat. Their silvery ocean hue often darkens, and in the male's jaws may hook into a fearsome kype. They are no longer creatures of the sea, but pilgrims returning to the source. The fjord now becomes a final, serene corridor leading them home. They swim with a relentless, steady pace up the calm, deep water, following the scent trail with an accuracy that seems like magic. They are unfazed by the depth, the darkness, or the quiet. Their entire being is focused on the river mouth, on the taste of the fresh water that grows stronger with every beat of their tail. Their journey culminates in a final, heroic struggle against the current of their birth river, leaping waterfalls and battling rapids to reach the very gravel bed where their lives began. There they spawn, releasing their eggs and milt to create the next generation, ensuring the cycle continues. Having fulfilled their purpose, most of them spent and weary, will die, their bodies returning nutrients to the river that sustained them, a final gift to their offspring and the ecosystem. There is a deep, resonant peace in the salmon's journey. It is a story of perfect navigation of an unbreakable bond with place. The fjord is the constant in this epic, the gentle beginning, the peaceful preparation, and the final guiding path home. It is a silent witness to this cycle of departure and return, of life, death, and renewal that has repeated for millennia. So, as you rest, imagine this journey. Picture the young smolt slipping silently from the river into the vast, still fjord, a tiny spark of life in an immense, dark water. Feel the fjord's calm acceptance, its role as a sanctuary. Then picture the adult salmon, powerful and determined, gliding through the deep, silent channels of the fjord on its final pilgrimage. Its movement is not frantic, but steady, purposeful, and serene, guided by an ancient memory towards a known destination. Let this image guide you into sleep. You too are on a journey. But for now you are in the calm, deep, sheltered part of the voyage. There is no ocean to battle, no river to climb. There is only the quiet, dark water holding you, guiding you gently forward. Feel yourself drifting like the salmon in this serene corridor. Let your thoughts be the current that carries you effortlessly home to the place of your own rest and renewal. There is no need to struggle. Simply breathe and drift and trust in the deep, ancient current that knows the way. Allow the silent, purposeful journey of the salmon to lull you deeper, down into the dark, peaceful waters of sleep, where you can rest and be renewed for the journeys yet to come. As we float through these serene landscapes, the mind begins to absorb not just the sounds and the silences, but the very colors of the fjord. This is not a landscape of vibrant, shouting primaries, but of subtle, whispering tones. Its palette is a masterpiece of tranquility, painted with the cool, calming hues of blue and green, each shade telling a story of depth, ice, and life. The most dominant color is, without question, blue. But to speak of a single blue is to misunderstand the fjord entirely. Its blues are a symphony. There is the deep, almost black navy of the open central channel, where the water plunges into abyssal depths and absorbs all light, a color of profound mystery and cool stillness. This is the blue of the deep sleep of the fjord, a heavy, velvety darkness that promises peace. Then there is the sharp, crystalline blue of the glacial ice. This is not a reflected color, but a color born from within the ice itself. As ancient snow is compressed over centuries, the air bubbles are squeezed out, allowing the ice to absorb every color of the spectrum except for one, a piercing electric blue. This is the blue of deep time, a frozen radiant light that seems to glow from within the icebergs and the heart of the glaciers. To gaze upon it is to feel a sense of awe and cool clarity. And where the glacial meltwater, laden with fine ground rock flour, meets the salt water of the fjord, a new, ethereal blue emerges. This is the milky turquoise blue that colors the water near the glacier's face and the mouths of silt-rich rivers. The microscopic particles of rock suspend in the water, scattering the sunlight and reflecting these soft, dreamlike shades of aquamarine and sea foam. It is the color of transformation, of the mountain slowly dissolving into the sea, a gentle, continuous alchemy. Interwoven with these blues are the many greens of the fjord. They are the colors of life, of resilience, of the tenacious hold of biology on the stone. The most striking is the brilliant, almost unreal emerald of the vegetation that clings to the lower slopes. This is a green intensified by the clean, rain-washed air and the low, slanting light, a lush, vibrant carpet of moss, grass and hardy bushes that seems to glow against the grey rock. It is a green that speaks of abundance, of the brief, intense, summer explosion of life. On the sun-dappled cliffs, older, more somber greens prevail. The deep olive and hunter green of the pine and spruce forests form a dark, soft fringe between the brilliant water and the stark grey of the mountain peaks. These are steadfast, enduring greens, the colour of patience and slow growth, of trees that have weathered countless storms and long, dark winters. And then there is the green of the fjord's own liquid forests. The kelp that sways in the shallow sunlit waters is a leathery, brownish green. From the surface, these submerged gardens give the water along the rocky shores a darker, olive-toned hue, a promise of the hidden, thriving world below. In the spring, the fjord itself can turn a pale, milky green during a phytoplankton bloom, as trillions of tiny, single-celled algae reproduce, coloring the entire body of water with the faint, hazy green of life's most fundamental level. This is the green of fertility, the engine of the fjord's food web, a soft, pervasive blush on the face of the water. The magic of the fjord's palette lies in its reflections. On a perfectly calm day, the entire color scheme is doubled. The deep navy of the abyss holds the sky. The emerald slopes are perfectly inverted, their points reaching down into the watery depths. A turquoise iceberg is reflected as a perfect, shimmering diamond. The world becomes a symmetrical dream, a watercolor painting where the boundary between the real and the reflected softly blurs, creating a sense of harmonious, enclosed perfection. This palette of cool blues and resilient greens is scientifically proven to calm the human nervous system. Blue lowers blood pressure and heart rate, evoking feelings of peace and spaciousness. Green is restful for the eyes and the mind, associated with safety and growth. Together, they form a visual lullaby, a natural sedative for an overstimulated world. So, as you close your eyes, let your mind be a canvas for these tranquil hues. Paint your thoughts with the deep, sleeping navy of the abyss. Feel its cool, dark embrace. Imagine the sharp, clear blue of glacial ice bringing a crisp, clean clarity to your mind, freezing your worries in a deep, timeless calm. Visualize the soft, milky turquoise of the meltwater, a gentle haze that blurs the sharp edges of the day, soothing your thoughts into a dreamy, peaceful flow. See the brilliant emerald of the slopes, a color of vibrant, quiet life, filling you with a sense of quiet vitality and restful growth. And finally, let the deep, steadfast green of the pine forests envelop you, a color of enduring peace and patient strength. Breathe in the cool blue, breathe out the restful green. Let these colors wash over you, layer upon layer, until your entire being is submerged in the fjord's serene palette. You are floating in a world of liquid sapphire and emerald, cradled by cool, calming tones that have soothed the souls of travelers for centuries. drift now in this color-filled piece, deeper into the blue, softer into the green, until you are part of the landscape itself, resting silent and serene in the heart of the palette. As our journey through the fjord continues, we now turn from the fluid elements of water and light to the most permanent, the most silent witnesses of all, the ancient rock walls themselves. These towering cliffs of granite and gneiss are not merely a backdrop. They are the very bones of the landscape, the enduring framework upon which the fjord's transient beauty is draped. To understand their stillness is to understand a time scale that dwarfs our own, a patience that is almost unimaginable. The rock that forms these majestic walls is among the oldest on Earth. This is the bedrock of the Scandinavian Shield, a primordial crust that has existed for over 1 billion years. In its beginning, it was a fluid, fiery heart, molten magma that cooled slowly deep within a young planet, crystallizing into the hard, unyielding granite we see today. This rock has witnessed the dawn of complex life, the drift of continents, and the rise and fall of entire mountain ranges that have long since eroded to dust. Its age is not just a number, it is a presence, a weight of time that hangs in the air. Then came the ice. For millions of years, during a succession of ice ages, glaciers, thousands of feet thick, flowed over this ancient bedrock. They were nature's master sculptors, and their tools were the rocks frozen within their own immense weight. This was not a violent, sudden carving, but a slow, persistent, and inexorable polishing. The glacier acted like a sheet of sandpaper on a continental scale, grinding and scouring the granite, planing it smooth and amplifying its fractures into deep, U-shaped valleys. The fjord's sheer, soaring walls are the direct result of this patient glacial artistry. The rounded, whaleback forms of the mountain tops and the smooth, striated grooves still visible on the cliff faces are the glacier's signature, a permanent record of its passage. The colors of the rock contribute profoundly to the fjord's serene atmosphere. This is not a landscape of bright, warm sandstone. The palette here is one of cool, stoic endurance. The dominant color is a gray that shifts with the weather, a light, silvery gray under a bright sun, a deep, somber charcoal under heavy clouds, and a wet, gleaming black after a rain. These are punctuated by the white veins of quartz, running through the stone like frozen lightning, and the rusty, orange lichens that cling to the surface, a slow, biological watercolor painting that takes centuries to complete. But the true lesson of the rock walls is their silence. This is a silence born of immense stability. While the water moves and the air shifts, the rock remains. It does not react to the storm or the calm. It simply is. It stands as a testament to the power of simply enduring. The occasional sharp crack of a falling stone or the gentle trickle of debris is not a sign of weakness, but a part of its slow, graceful aging, a geological exhale that reminds us that even the most permanent things change, but on a scale that brings perspective to our own fleeting worries. These cliffs are not barren. They are a vertical world for life adapted to austerity. Hardy lichens, the pioneers of the plant world, cling to the bare stone, their symbiotic existence a quiet miracle of cooperation between fungus and algae. Mosses find a foothold in microscopic cracks, creating soft green cushions that hold moisture against the stone. Dwarf shrubs and hardy flowers, like the vibrant purple saxifrage, find a precarious purchase on narrow ledges, their roots patiently breaking down the rock into soil, grain by grain, over centuries. This is life at its most resilient, a quiet, persistent celebration of existence in the face of monumental challenge. For the human spirit, the rock walls offer a profound sense of grounding. In a world of constant change and digital noise, their permanence is an anchor. To place a hand upon the cool, solid granite is to connect with a timeline that stretches back to the Precambrian era. It is a physical reminder that the world was here long before us and will remain long after. The anxieties of a day, a year, or a lifetime are but a fleeting whisper against the billion-year silence of the stone. Their verticality inspires a different kind of peace. Not the peace of the horizontal drift, but the peace of steadfastness. They teach the value of standing firm, of having a foundation that cannot be easily shaken. They show that strength is not always about movement, but often about the ability to remain, to provide shelter and structure for others, just as the cliffs provide a home for the lichen and a nesting site for the eagle. So, as you settle into the deepest part of your rest, imagine yourself leaning against these ancient cool rock walls. Feel their solid, unshakable presence at your back. Their immense weight is not crushing, but supporting. Their great age is not intimidating, but comforting. Let your breath become as slow as the growth of the lichen. Let your heartbeat sync with the imperceptible pace of geological time. Your thoughts are like the occasional small stones that tumble from the cliff face. Let them fall away, making no sound as they disappear into the deep water below. You are cradled in the geology of stillness. The ancient silent rock holds you. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go. You can simply be as solid and as peaceful as the stone itself. Rest now against the billion-year-old granite. Be still, be silent, be at peace. We have journeyed through the deep waters, along the ancient stone, and beneath the shimmering skies. Now let us turn our attention to the very element we have been breathing all along, the air of the fjord. It is an invisible yet palpable presence, a medium of such purity that to breathe it is to experience a form of cleansing, a gentle washing of the lungs and the spirit. This is not the air of the city, laden with the exhaust of industry and life. It is not the air of the plains, carrying dust and pollen for miles. This is air that has traveled vast, unspoiled distances. It is air borne over the cold, clean expanse of the Arctic Ocean or swept across the trackless North Atlantic, where the only scents are salt and spray. By the time it funnels into the deep channels of the fjord, it has been filtered by thousands of miles of open water, scrubbed by rain and wind until it achieves a crystalline clarity. To breathe this air is to taste the landscape itself. The most immediate note is the cold. It is a sharp, clean cold that invigorates without biting, filling the lungs with a bracing freshness that seems to sparkle inside you. This cold is not empty. It is richly textured with subtle flavors. There is the unmistakable faint tang of the sea, a briny freshness that speaks of crashing waves and deep, saline currents just beyond the fjord sill. Interwoven with the sea scent is the sweet, earthy perfume of the coniferous forests. It is the smell of pine and spruce, of damp moss and decaying leaves on the forest floor, a grounding, woody aroma that anchors the air to the land. On a damp morning, this scent intensifies, blending with the petrichor, the profound, comforting smell of rain on dry earth and stone, a scent that seems to promise renewal and peace. Near the towering glaciers, the air takes on another quality. It carries the taste of ice, a dry, metallic freshness, like the smell of snow in winter, but amplified. This is the scent of ancient, compressed snow, of air bubbles trapped for millennia now being released as the ice melts. It is the smell of deep time, crisp and clean, with no history of pollution or decay. It is the breath of the Ice Age, still exhaling softly into the modern world. This pristine air is a living tapestry of sound. Because it is so still and so clean, sound travels through it with remarkable fidelity. The cry of a lone eagle can be heard from a mile away, each note distinct and clear. The gentle lap of water against the shore, a soft rustle that would be lost in a noisier environment, becomes a gentle, rhythmic percussion. The distant rumble of a calving glacier, though miles away, arrives as a deep, resonant shudder in the air, a powerful yet muffled bass note. The silence between these sounds is not empty. It is a space of anticipation, a canvas waiting for the next gentle stroke of nature's brush. The effect of this air on the human body and mind is profound. Scientifically, the high oxygen content and the absence of pollutants allow for deeper, more efficient respiration. The negative ions generated by crashing water from waterfalls, waves, and even the gentle melt of glaciers are believed to increase oxygen flow to the brain, promoting mental alertness and a state of tranquility. This is why a deep breath of fjord air can feel so revitalizing, why it can clear a cluttered mind and soothe a restless spirit. It is nature's own tonic, but beyond the science there is a deeper, more spiritual effect. To breathe this air is to participate directly in the fjord's ecosystem. You are drawing into yourself the same molecules that have passed over the glacier, through the pine forest, and across the open sea. You are inhaling the essence of the wild, the untamed, the pure. With each breath, the boundary between your own body and the vast landscape softens. You become, in a small but real way, a part of the fjord itself. The fjord air teaches the art of breathing. It invites you to slow down, to take long, deliberate and conscious breaths. It asks you to notice the temperature, the scent, the very texture of the atmosphere you are pulling into your body. This mindful breathing is a form of meditation, a way to anchor yourself firmly in the present moment, in this place of profound peace. So, as you lie in your bed far from these northern shores, you can still recall this purity. Imagine yourself standing on a rocky outcrop overlooking the dark, still water. Close your eyes and take a deep, slow breath in. Feel the cool, clean air fill your lungs. Taste the faint, sharp hint of the sea. Detect the sweet, resinous scent of distant pine forests. Sense the crisp, dry chill from the ancient ice. Hold this pristine breath for a moment, letting it cleanse you from within. Then release it slowly, exhaling the staleness of the day, the mental fog, the accumulated tensions. With each inward breath, draw in the stillness of the mountains and the clarity of the ice. With each outward breath, release the noise, the hurry, the worry. Breathe in the silence. Breathe out the sound. Let this rhythmic, purifying exchange become your entire world. Your body becomes a vessel for the world's purest breath. Your mind becomes as clear as the fjord's air. Deeper and deeper you breathe, washing yourself in this invisible, tranquil essence until you are light, you are clear, you are as peaceful as the air itself. Now rest. Breathe gently and sleep. As we near the end of our tranquil journey, our perspective widens, lifting like a mist to reveal a beautiful truth. The serene majesty of the fjord is not a secret kept by Norway alone. This masterpiece of glacial artistry is a global phenomenon, a quiet echo of the ice ages that can be found in the most spectacular corners of our planet. From the iconic landscapes of Scandinavia to the remote wilderness of New Zealand, the fjord is a universal language of stillness, spoken with different accents but understood by the soul in the same way. Our journey begins, of course, in the homeland of the fjord, Norway. Here, the experience is one of classic, dramatic grandeur. The fjords, like the Sognefjord and the Geirangerfjord, are deep, sprawling, and intricately branched, like the veins of a great, sleeping giant. They are framed by soaring, sheer cliffs, from which countless waterfalls cascade like flowing veils. The atmosphere is one of epic scale and profound ancient peace, a landscape that has defined the very concept of the fjord for the world. But travel north to Greenland and the character of the fjord changes. Here, the scale becomes almost incomprehensible. The Scoresby-Sund system is the largest fjord complex on Earth, a labyrinth of icy channels where the mountains are vaster, the silence is deeper, and the human presence is but a whisper. This is the realm of the iceberg on a monumental scale, where colossal tabular bergs carved from immense glaciers drift in a silent, slow-motion parade. The feeling is one of raw, primal power, a frontier of ice and rock that humbles the spirit. Now let us cross the globe to the southern hemisphere, to the wild coast of Chile. Here, in a region of relentless rain and wind, the fjords are shrouded in mystery. They are often narrower, their steep sides draped in a dense, emerald-green canopy of temperate rainforest, a type of forest known as the Valdivian jungle. The air is thick with moisture and the scent of damp earth and ancient trees. The silence. Here is a dripping, living silence punctuated by the calls of unseen birds and the soft, constant patter of rain on a million leaves. It is a lush, mysterious version of the fjord, a hidden world where nature feels both fertile and untouched. From the lushness of Chile, we journey to the stark, dramatic beauty of New Zealand's South Island. Here, in a place the Maori named Milford Sound, Piopiotahī, the fjords, or sounds as they are locally known, are monuments of verticality. The cliffs rise almost perfectly straight from the dark water, their faces scraped clean by glaciers, their peaks frequently lost in low-slung clouds. The rainfall here is prodigious, creating not just waterfalls but entire walls of waterfalls that appear after a storm, a temporary thundering lacework down the rock faces. The mood is dramatic and moody, a landscape that feels both young and immensely powerful. Further still, in the remote and forbidding landscape of Alaska, the fjords tell a story of dynamic, living ice. Places like Tracy Arm or Kenai Fjords are active workshops of glaciation. The thunder of carving ice is a common sound, and the water is often thick with brash ice and bergs of an impossible electric blue. The air carries the sharp, cold scent of ice melt. Here, the process of fjord creation is not a memory from a past ice age. It is an ongoing, visible and audible phenomenon. It is a reminder of the immense, patient forces that are, even now, still sculpting the face of our planet. And even in Canada, Scotland and Iceland, we find smaller, quieter echoes of the fjord, the sea locks, the firths, the inlets that share the same U-shaped, glacially carved ancestry. Each has its own local character, a softer, more intimate version of the grand dramas played out in Norway and Alaska. Despite their geographical differences, all true fjords share a common soul. They all possess that deep, sheltered calm created by their glacial origins and protected by their submerged sills. They all feature those towering rock walls, whether they are bare granite or draped in jungle green, and they all inspire the same feeling in the human heart, a sense of awe that translates not into excitement, but into a deep, pervasive peace. They are places that demand quiet observation, that encourage the mind to settle and the breath to slow. They are proof that the same gentle, powerful hand of ice has touched the earth in distant, separate corners, leaving behind these sacred spaces of tranquility. The fjord is a global sanctuary, a network of natural cathedrals where the same hymn of water, stone, and sky is sung in different keys. So as you rest tonight, let your mind drift across the world. Picture the epic grandeur of Norway, the icy silence of Greenland, the lush mystery of Chile, the dramatic peaks of New Zealand, and the living ice of Alaska. Know that in all these places the same deep, dark water rests in the same ancient stone arms. The same profound stillness waits. You are connected to all of them. The peace you seek is not confined to one location. It is a global current, flowing through these majestic glacial valleys around the world. Wherever you are, you can draw upon this collective serenity. You are part of this quiet, global network of peace. Let this thought cradle you. From the northernmost ice to the southernmost forests, the world holds spaces of perfect calm. And in your rest, you can visit them all. Breathe in the universal stillness. Breathe out and become a part of it. Drift now on a global current of tranquility into a deep and peaceful sleep.